So what is up YouTube, HPJ here, and we're here today with a brand new Digimon Deck Profile. We have Sakuyamon taking the rounds for today. Sakuyamon just came out of EX2 Digital Hazard, and this is a very interesting deck because its focus is to play around with the mechanic of the plug-in cards, which I'll show in just a few. So this is basically just a first go at the deck. It is a very useful deck, if anything, and it has a lot of vice with it, especially with the use of the plugins. Um, this is actually majority of BTA. I mean, of not BTA, EX2, and it actually this is an improvement from the original Sakuyamon, because the original Sakuyamon was trying to do something that she just couldn't, and that was basically hold on to security when there was a lot of other cards that did security a lot better. But I do give them the effort for what they tried to attempt with that Sakuyamon. But this one is a lot better and has a lot more attached to the Sakuyamon. There's a lot more synergy to it as well. So when we go ahead, we get into the deck. So we start off with the Digitama with a full 4 copies of Vixmon, and then 1 copy of Tokomon. Then we go on to the deck itself. So we start off with the 2 copies of EX2 Sakuyamon with copies of BT5 Sakuyamon. So that's our megas right there. 4 copies of Taumon, 4 copies of Cubimon, 4 copies of Renamon. All these Renamon, Sakuyamon, and there's Renamon, Taumon, and Cubimon are from, of course, are from EX2. Alright, that rounds out the Sakuyamon lineup. Then we have 4 copies of Rise Greymon, 4 copies of Sylphimon, 4 copies of Aquilamon, and 4 copies of Patamon. Alright, so that rounds out the Digimon in the main deck. Then we move on to the Tamers, and it's actually just a small portion of Tamers. 4 copies of Rika and 2 copies of TK and Kari. Then for the option cards, we have 3 copies of Yellow Memory Boost, 1 copy of Reinforced Memory Boost, 4 copies of Digivolution Plug-in S, 2 copies of Offense Plug-in A, and 2 copies of High Speed Plug-in D. So that is all of the option cards, and now let's go on into let's go back and go over the cards themselves. So Renamon starts off your deck. On play, she can reveal the top 4 cards of your deck to add 1 QB, Tau, or Sakuyamon, as well as a Rika Nanaka from among those cards to your hand. And the others go to the bottom of your deck. This is basically just your first turn easy summon setup to the deck at a cost of 3. Most of these types of cards cost a lot more, but this is getting a Tamer and is getting a Digimon in the Digivolution line, so of course it's going to be more added to it for very low DP but very high cost. Her trait for the Digivolution is once a turn during your turn, if you play an option card with 2 or more to its cost, you'll gain 1 memory. The Cubulon that follows this, she is another level. She's a level 6 with a 2 cost for her Digivolution. On her Digivolution, she'll be able to reveal the top 3 cards of your deck to add 1 option card with the plug-in in its name to your hand, while the rest will go to the bottom of your deck. So while the Renamon searches for your Rika in your other evolution line, you have the Cubimon, who helps out getting the plug-in cards, and while she's used as part of the Digivolution line, When your option cards cost 2 or more, your opponent's Digimon will gain minus 2k DP. So you can reduce some DP while also playing many of the option cards that you have in the deck. Talmon. On her Digivolution, she can play Rika directly from your hand, and then while she is Digivolution material, when you activate another option card with 2 or more, that's another minus 2k DP to one of your opponent's Digimon. So she'll take the basis of depletion, and then playing your Tamer with ease, while the Cubimon, the Renamon help go and search out for Rika and some of the other cards for the evolution line. Now, before we get on to the EX2's Sakuyamon, let's talk about the BT5 Sakuyamon. So this Sakuyamon has the ability that when it's your turn, all of your security will gain +3, or your opponent's Digimon will gain minus 3k DP in the security, which is one of those security check things. But isn't really too bad. But this is not the type of build that you want for Sakuyamon. She's basically just filler here in case you don't have access to the other copies of the EX2 Sakuyamon. But it has a very low cost and can work well with the plug-in card for the deck as well, and it helps tremendously when you don't want to waste too many of your megas. In addition to that, her ability is that on your opponent's turn, when your opponent will move someone from the breeding area into the battle zone, she will make them get minus 3 security. So it's more of if things are getting hatched, coming into play, and then bam, here they are on the field. There'll at least be a way to slow them down. Although I feel like this would be a good use for decks that want the security control and cards that want to help control the things that are on the field with the large amount of security that checks that they try to play. Now let's get on to the big girl herself. This is Sakuyamon from the EX8. Now on her Digivolution, you can assign this Digimon. And for each Tamer that you have in play, return one option card with plug-in and its name from your trash to your hand. And then during your turn, when an option card is played with a cost of 2 or more, one of your opponent's Digimon gains a minus 3k DP for the turn. So while a lot of the depletion of DP is happening, you're basically taking advantage of Talmon's ability, Cubimon's ability, and all of the plug-in option cards to speed up your process to getting into Sakuyamon, who's basically the same level and setup for just like the other Sakuyamon, but this one focuses on the plugins, and the plugins option cards have a lot of amazing effects attached to them to help defend your Digimon and also to help you secure a victory in the game. Alright, so with that said, let's move these Digimon out of the way and let's talk about the rest of the supporting Digimon cast. So joining Sakuyamon, we have the Rise Greymon. Although there are not that many Tamers in this deck, Rise Greymon does at least help get to them if you can get Talmon onto the field. Where Rise Greymon can take any of the Tamers in your hand that are yellow and play them without paying memory cost, but unfortunately their on-play effects will not work. Luckily enough, Rika's on-play effect, if you put it in conjunction with this deck, does not have an on-play effect. It's more of a when things attack effect, so you don't have too much to worry about. And then when he is used as part of the Digivolution line, if you have 3 or more Tamers in play, the Digimon he's attached to will gain a security +1, so making it at least a double or even a triple breaker in cases. Next up is Sylphimon. So this is an odd man out. However, Sylphimon's ability is why this card is here. When Digivolve through DNA Digivolution, when Digivolve in general, I'm sorry, it doesn't even have to be the Digivolution. So when you Digivolve it, you can target one of your opponent's Digimon, and it'll gain minus 5k DP. When you DNA Digivolve, you can delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 5k DP or less, which is why the next card in the lineup, the Aquilamon, is in the deck, because you can put this Aquilomon on top of any yellow Ricky, and all you'll need is basically a yellow champion, so you can DNA the Cubimon and the Aquilomon, and they'll become the Sylphimon, and then I'll trigger Sylphimon's ability. Sylphimon's other ability is that when attacking, you can delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 5k DP or less, which, when you think about it, because she'll come into play and she'll start reducing DP. The others, if they're attached to her, will also be doing DP reduction. So it's a lot of DP reducing to the point where either you're going to pop and send the card that's on the field to the trash, or you're going to have enough, or it's going to have enough DP for you to run over. The Aquilomon, now when it's played from your hand, you reduce the cost of it by 1 if you have a yellow Digimon in play. So that's actually a really good thing for it, because it's it's one more memory you can use for something else. And while it's attached, if a yellow card is in play, you can delete one of your opponent's Digimon with KDP or less. So just another way to clear the board, especially with a lot of the lower level cards or a lot of the low DP cards. So on top of what you're doing with Sylphimon, you have the ability of Aquilomon to help clear out things as well. And then you have the Patamon. This is the one from the Yellow Heavens starter deck. This Patamon says that once per turn, during your turn, when your opponent's Digimon is deleted, when its DP drops to 0, you'll gain 1 memory. So it's basically just a low shot Ricky, in case you wanted something to help you get rid of things fast. To reward you for getting rid of things that are on the field once you started to get rid of them. And yeah, that is pretty much just the assortment of cards here to help out the deck there. Now, I don't have too many options in terms of other cards to run, because most of the deck, including the Sakuyamons, are pretty cheap. I think the only thing that'd probably be expensive is the Sakuyamon. And that's if you're building this variation. I know there's another champion Digimon. He's red and yellow, but I have not. I think it's Dinohomon. He has the giant sword. I think he has a different name here in internationally, but he's dual color as well, yellow and red, and he's a DNA Digivolution. But I don't run any red cards, but it's something he needs to just put on top of something, and then he gets some he gets support as well. But yeah, just like I said, don't have them and not running him. So yeah. Alright, let's move on, and of course we're now going on into the Tamers. So Rika Nanaka is, hold on, I'm sorry, gotta move some stuff around there. So Rika Nanaka is going to be the main tamer of the deck. While at the start of your turn, if your memory is 2 or less, she'll jump it to 3. Then when Cubimon, Renamon, Taomon, or Sakuyamon attack, you may suspend this tamer to use 1 option card with plug-in in its name from your hand without paying the memory cost. So although it doesn't seem like you're paying anything for it, remember all the other abilities will trigger because you're also playing the plug-in card. I heard we'll have some more plug-in cards coming soon, so that's even good for Rika and Sakuyamon with all of the additional setups that they have to play a lot of these plug-in cards. And plug-ins are actually the cards names for what they were used in the anime from Tamers. It was the cards that gave them a lot of buffs, and it's some really cool buffs too in this game. The other tamer that I'm running is the TK Ankari. This is if your security is less than your opponent's, you'll gain the 2 memory. There's also a Tai Kamiya that I was recommended to play. And it's something you can fit in as well if you wanted some additional support. So this is the Tai Kamiya. It says when you have 3 or less security, all your Digimon will gain plus 1 KDP. During your turn, when your opponent Digimon is deleted by dropping its DP to 0, you may suspend this tamer to gain 1 memory. So it's one of those things. If you need a memory boost, this is another additional card to help. But you can also use cards like the Karis and the TKs if that's something that you want to go more into in terms of that. I know there's a Mimi that people are using as well with this set. The Tachikawa Mimi, the purple one, which I have no idea what it does, but I know it's very expensive as a tamer to get right now. So yeah, if that's something you want to flex into, go right ahead. Alright, so we're going to move Rika and Tikankari out of the way to talk about these option cards that we've been talking about. So the first up is the option card Yellow Memory, which I'm running in the the Reinforcement Memory Boost. Since these are cards that have a cost of 2 or more, these will also trigger the abilities of Renamon, Sakuyamon, Taomon, and Cubimon. So the yellow memory boost is to help you get to your yellow Digimon, and then get the delay of +2 memory. The reinforced memory boost is just it's a floating one of. The only real purpose is that it's another high level card that you can use, and plus it's more addition to the security if it's needed. I was gonna run 4 yellow memory boosts and probably run the 1 reinforced memory boost, just so I can have things flow, or at least have some more option cards to help out with these high level option card costs that will trigger the abilities of the other Digimon. But hey, if you take what you can, and these are very, very cheap to get, so I would suggest getting them as soon as possible unless they have gone up by now. Then we move on, and now we have all of our plugins. So I'm running 4 copies of Digivolution plugin S. I have the 2 copies each of High Speed plugin D and Offense plugin A. So let's start off from the least useful to the most useful. So that most likely would probably be this, the High Speed plugin D, which is funny because I honestly think this is a really good card. It gives one of your Digimon jamming for the turn, so that means they won't be deleted by any of the Digimon into security if they have higher DP than them, and your opponent cannot block the Digimon as it swings. At a card that's a 2 cost, this is actually really good for the deck. It has all the options of things you can do with it. The effect of this card can be played even as long as you have a tamer on the field, and it will not restrict you to the color cost. I didn't know color cost was a thing. Then again, I was mainly running decks that had dual color or monocolor in it, so it was the first thing to hear that there was something that, hey, you can't play this unless you have the particular color. Then we have the offense plugin A. This card will gain security +1 to one of your Digimon until the end of the turn. It's like I said, I think this is probably the weaker of the 3, and I think the plugin D, like literally 1, 2, 3, the least useful, the second most useful, and then the most useful of them all. Like the security attack +1 isn't bad, but I would rather have more of this High Speed plugin D doing more of the help with the jamming and dealing with a lot of the cards that you don't want to run into when you're in the security, especially when you want to get rid of them as soon as possible. Now with that said, let's talk about the Digivolution plugin S. So you'll draw 1 card, and then you're able to Digivolve one of your Digimon from a card in your hand whose cost is 3 or less. Now with this deck, of course, our Megas have a cost of 3. I think the only exception, both of the copies of Sakuyamon have a cost of 3. So, for a free, you get a free Digivolution, and still counts for drawing the additional card for the card Digivolving. You'll get the setup there for the additional draw 1 for activating the card's effect, and it's just a faster way to get into your lot of cards. Even if you don't get into Sakuyamon, it'll help you at least get into Talmon, and I believe Rise Greymon. Nope. That's right, oh no, even Rise Greymon, he's a 3. So it just helps you speed up your Digivolution processes at a cost of 2. But you also have to remember a lot of your other cards' abilities will stack on to the Digimon that you're Digivolving into. So the Cubimon, the Renamon, and even Talmon will trigger and use their abilities to reduce cost, give you memory, or help you get rid of cards that are on the field. Alright, with that said, that is all of the new stuff in the main. The other thing too is talk about the Digitama. That's the Vixmon and the Tokamon. The Tokamon only fit in here because I needed a 5th slide. I know most people are running 4 Digitama. If that works out for you, that's fine. But I wanted to fit in the roundabout because I want to use up every inch of space that I can. So the Tokamon says that on your turn, if your opponent's Digimon is deleted, because its DP was reduced, the Digimon it's part of its Digivolution sources 4 gains 1 KDP. Not much, but it's at least something. The Vixmon, however, is that when you play an option card of 2 or more, you get to draw 1 card, and because you have stuff like the jamming, the the jamming and the high speed and the Digivolution plugins, you're gonna be drawing from this. You're gonna be setting up for stuff. And you're basically just going to be taking advantage of everything this deck has to offer with all its useful material. So yeah, all right, that's the Digitama, and that just wraps up the video. So with that said, with that all done, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Go ahead and check out the other Digimon videos that are up right now. Mastemon's up for the month, and Yellow Hybrid is also up for this month. And I'm going to really enjoy playing around with Sakuyamon. So if you guys have any other cards you would like to add on to a Sakuyamon deck, that would be really helpful. Leave all that in the comment section below. So with that said and done, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, as it helps out tremendously. You can hit the notification bell in the next to the description box so you can be notified of when I do upload more content. You can also hit me up on social media. Links are in the description box below. And you can catch me on Twitch at twitch.tv/HarpiePlayJoe, where I'll be streaming some more of Pokemon and stuff like that. So with that said, thanks everybody for watching, and I will catch you all next time. HCJ signing out. Take care.